correctly. It should be interesting running these live calls in this other chat. I know we had some interesting issues with the stream crashing earlier today. If that's the case, we'll go ahead and restart that as well. We should be able to make sure that everything works well. But again, if you guys can see and hear me, go ahead and give me a one in the chat. So I know we are set up. I do not see. I see a few ones. Okay, cool. It looks like we're live. Excellent. So again, guys, these are beginner live calls. The purpose of these calls are to take those of you who are brand new and help you get really, really good at the fundamentals. We're going to be reviewing the lessons I teach you in level one so that you can get a client as quickly and efficiently as possible and start making money. The foundational lessons, these basic principles, everything that I teach you after this will stack on these ideas, the things we're going to be covering today and tomorrow. If you get good at what we talk about today, you will be able to dominate markets. We're going to talk about what markets are. We're going to talk about how one business will dominate the rest and how you can make sure that your clients are the ones that do that. When you're the guy that can do that forever and ever, when you know how markets work and how to defeat business competitors, you can show up and partner with any business around the planet, help them skyrocket their sales, and walk away with a much larger bank account. So this should be good. We've got, I think, pretty much everybody on the call that needs to be on here. If you are brand new, if you have not gone through the lessons yet, if you still don't have a client, this is the call for you. If you've been in the campus for several months now, you have client work, then you should probably go get back to work with whatever you're doing right now. You have more important G work sessions to do. But this is, again, ideally for those of you who are brand new to the campus. Real quick, before we get started, I want to ask you all, how many of you completed your daily checklist yesterday? If you did, put me. If you didn't, put no. I'm curious how many of you yesterday did 100% of the things you said you were going to do. We kind of talked about it on today's Power Up call. I just uploaded the second part of it, but I'm curious, before we begin, which of you are the ones that are actually working hard and which of you are not? And I recommend you be honest. I I recommend honesty as a matter of normal policy. I see quite a few no's. Quite a few no's. That's pretty disappointing. A handful of yeses, a handful of me's, which is good. Those of you who didn't do your daily checklist yesterday, those of you who did not perform the basic things that are going to lead to the outcome of achieving that giant goal, you need to really ask yourself what you're doing wrong. Listen, the things I teach you here, the tactics I teach you, they matter 0% if you don't actually do the work. If you don't actually do the things you put on your list, then it doesn't matter what you know. You can be a super genius person in the world, but if you don't do the work, you won't be successful. You can be Mike Tyson in his prime. You could walk into the ring as strong and as capable with a great game plan and flawless peekaboo style. You can walk into the ring. If you don't throw a punch, you are going to get knocked out. Same thing with the work I teach you. If I teach the things I teach you, they matter 0%. You can know everything there is to know about marketing, but if you aren't a guy who does 100% of the work that he says he's going to do, you're not going to be successful. Unless you actually attack this with some serious obsession, you might as well just give up and just go watch Netflix instead, because it might be a little more entertaining than the basics of marketing. So keep that in mind. Today is a day for you to turn it around, though. Today is the day for you to set your tasks, complete your tasks, and begin the first day of your 100% life of getting the work done every day. All right, cool. We've hit that. I wanted to make sure I highlighted that important part because knowledge is not everything, but it is helpful. Let's dive into the presentation. So I call this part of it Marketing 101 because we're going to visit the fundamentals. It's kind of like Vince Lombardi. I think that was his name, some famous coach back in the day. He would always begin or when he showed up to turn around, I think the Green Bay, I don't know, some football team, he showed up and he started by going through the fundamentals. If you don't understand the fundamentals, chances are you're not going to be able to execute the advanced stuff. Everybody shows up and they want to know the big, sexy, cool secrets. What headline this? Is there some secret testing formula? People want to know all the secret sauce. The secret sauce is really just an extension of the basics. And unless you actually understand the basics, you don't have a good foundation to build on all those other things. This is going to be sort of the skeleton of everything you are going to learn and do over the next few months inside of the copywriting campus. So pay attention, make sure you're taking notes. There will be a mission and exercise at the end of this. I expect to see you all performing it. We'll talk about that at the very end, though. Let's dive into the basics. Let's get you guys up to speed. First of all, let's talk about the very basics. How do businesses earn money? You're going to make your money by helping other businesses increase their sales. How does this happen? What are the ingredients? Let's go over the very basics. First of all, there's a market. A market really is just a group of people with a similar desire. So, all the people in the world that want a certain thing or a certain outcome, that is collectively known as a market. Now, they sit around and they have some sort of human desire. And we'll go into depth about what the main human desires are, how they manifest, the different types of desire, how to combine. We'll talk about all of this later on. We'll talk about how to identify your target market, how to do your market research. We'll talk about the tactical side of this later. But for now, just know there are groups of people that want things. Humans want things. And businesses show up and they provide products or services that help those people achieve their dreams or goals. So, again, the markets, they have dreams, they have frustrations, they have desires, they have things they want to achieve. And businesses show up and they offer products or services that help people get what they want. For example, and I'm going to use a very broad example here, there's the fitness market. There's a bunch of people who, let's say, want to gain 10 pounds of muscle. There are a bunch of different companies and products that offer a bunch of different products and services to help people do that. There's a gym that offers people the ability to come in and train. That is one way that they are serving that particular market. There's another part of the market that wants to supplement and get the right kind of protein so they can, achieve hypertrophy as they train hard in the gym. And there are businesses that sell protein powder to this giant market. And as a return, the business or the market, they say, thank you for the products and services. Here is some money. Now, your job is to show up and understand this market and help whatever business you partner with over here. Got a little hypersensitive with the trigger button there. Help whatever business you partner with here to sell to the majority of the market. So every market has every business has a slice of the market that is loyal to them and buys from them. You want to help your company, the one that you partner with, get more of the market to decide to buy their products compared to their competitors. That's your job. And you want them to give you as much money as possible. That is essentially the game. Now, a quick note here, guys. As you go out and seek to partner with businesses, this is a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to win at this game if the products are actually good. I don't recommend you work with companies that sell products that aren't effective or provide services that don't produce results. That's kind of a requirement. So when you do partner with a business or whenever you do launch your own business, you need to make sure that the product or service can actually help the market get their dream, can actually be something that they like. Because if they like it, they're going to want to pay a lot more money, and it's a lot easier to market a good product than it is to lie and market a bad product. You can do it, it's unethical, but at the end of the day, it's also just a million times harder. If you have a good product that actually helps a group of people get something that they want, that is the best. Now, guys, as I go along this, you're going to have some questions. Please save those. We're going to have those questions at the very end. I'm going to answer as many of them as I possibly can. Please save your questions. So there are a lot of different examples of this, and there's a lot of different examples of products and services. Let's go on to the next part here. Now, again, your job is to show up and facilitate this to get more people to want to buy your company's products. A business, for them to make a sale, they need to do two things. For them to sell one of their products or sell their service to somebody, they need to get the attention of people in that target market. They need to say, hey, they need to get these people to know about their products and services. And then after you've got their attention, you've got to then persuade them to buy your product or service compared to the competitors' products or service. That's the better you are at doing these two things, the bigger chunk of the market you get. Some businesses are really good at getting attention, but they're terrible at selling their product. That's kind of sad. Some people aren't very good at getting attention, but they have a really good product and they're good at convincing people. For you to help your business dominate a market, whatever business you partner with, you have to be good at both. You have to be both at getting attention from your target market and convincing them to buy. All of the copy you create, all of the marketing materials, all the funnels, we'll talk about those in greater depth as we move on. All of those things are going to be designed to do one or both of these things. Get attention from people who are in the market, who have the desire for the thing you sell, and then convince them to buy your product compared to everybody else's. This might seem, again, this is simple. We're building on this block by block. There's a lot of unknowns about how we're going to do that. I'm going to show you that in depth, but we're just going through the basics step by step here so you have a framework to understand everything. These are your two objectives, almost always. Get attention, persuade them to buy. Get attention, persuade them to buy. That's all you really do as a copywriter. Now, there are we're going to go into a little bit in depth about how you get people's attention, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you convince them to buy. We're going to go over the very basics here, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about how you put it all together into something called funnels or these big marketing projects that you're going to do for your clients. So when people, again, remember these markets over here, these guys all have a similar desire. They have a human desire. Now, when people have desires, they usually try and solve their desires. So if you wake up and you're like, oh, I want to gain more muscle, you will probably go out and try and search for information or products that will help you do that. You might go to YouTube, for example, and type in how to gain muscle, and you might search out this information. That's someone who is actively in the moment trying to go solve their problems. You're going to help a lot of the businesses that you partner with find those people and stand out with them. We're going to look at a couple examples here in a second. But that is one form of attention, or one form of, it's like one arena you might fight against other businesses to capture the attention of your target market. So that's one type of attention, and how you stand out there is going to be a little different. Then the second type, which is passive attention or low intent attention. So some people are just kind of going throughout their day. They're driving their cars, they're scrolling on Instagram, and businesses will try and get in front of those people, grab their attention, and then direct them to go buy. Those are the two main types of human attention that exist in the world: active attention, high intent attention, and low intent attention. We're going to go through some examples of that, but you've got to be good at doing both of them. Now, some businesses are better suited for one type of attention versus another. For example, if you're a plumber, you're really not going to, and you help people fix their plumbing leaks. Let's say they have a leaky house, right? You're probably not going to do passive attention. You're probably not going to try and show up as an Instagram ad and say, hey, do you have a leaky bathroom sink that is flooding your entire basement and it is a huge emergency? If so, please come by for me. You're going to be focusing primarily on active people. People going to Google and saying, emergency plumber in Akron, Ohio, or what have you. You're going to be focused on high intent options. And some things are completely different. Some people aren't actively searching for a solution to their problem. You have to kind of remind them or highlight that problem to them. You're going to do that mainly through the passive and low intent. We're going to talk about more specific examples of these in later days. But for now, just understand there are two types of attention. There is people that are actively trying to search for a solution, and there's a way to stand out there. And then there are people who are just kind of going throughout their day, and as a business, you're going to try and get in front of them, grab their attention, and then direct them to go buy your product. Let's look at a couple examples of each. So this is one, I actually performed this earlier today. This is an example of active attention or high intent attention. This is a screenshot of me Googling Patriot Tomahawk. Now, I'm an American and I'm a fan of the movie The Patriot. I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking about the tomahawk scene. You know, as a father, that's a pretty legit scene. I was like, you know what? I should get a tomahawk like the one from The Patriot. So I Googled Patriot Tomahawk. This is high intent. I'm searching for a specific product to buy. Now, once I search, there's a bunch of different results here. If you were a copywriter for one of these businesses, these are some Etsy profiles. Let's say you were a copywriter for one of these Etsy businesses. You would want to make sure that you're able to grab my attention by paying for an ad that stands out against all the others. See, these are all paid ads here. These are Google search paid ads for an Etsy store selling a product, and you would want to stand out and capture my attention so that I would pick that one and go and purchase that tomahawk versus your competitor's tomahawk. So whichever one of these images stands out the most to the reader is going to win the majority of the attention. Again, this is an example of doing that first thing, getting people in the market to pay attention to you. Everyone who searches for Patriot Tomahawk, there is a small market of us out in the world right now of people who want to have a tomahawk that looks like the one from The Patriot, legit movie. So that small market of we are actively searching for that. Usually, we are active high intent buyers. I've searched this, and your goal as a copywriter would be to help set up the image and the text and all those things to be the one that stands out. We're going to talk more about what elements go into that, but at the end of the day, that's what you do to capture high intent. You find out where they're searching, and then you find out how to stand out wherever they're searching for your product or service. That's an example of the active high intent. Let's look at passive low intent. This is pretty common. You're going to be helping a lot of your clients do this as well. So a lot of times you're not really trying to solve a problem, or you're not actively thinking about a problem, and you're just kind of going throughout your day. A lot of times that means you're scrolling on social media. I had to reinstall Instagram and download it and look for this example. Scrolled on the feed for a little bit like a loser and came across this ad. This is a business who is paying Instagram to throw this image up on the feed and get people to pay attention, read this, and dangle something interesting in front of them so then they'll go and buy. They're converting that passive attention to active intention or active attention to go look at this product and then go purchase it. It's basically taking someone that's just kind of going throughout their day, just looking for just entertaining themselves and offering something, putting something in front of them that is interesting enough to get them to divert their attention now to your product rather than scrolling to go see the next Instagram photo or whatever. You're going to do this in there's a lot of different ways to do this. We're going to talk about the different elements you can use to grab and capture attention. But for any business that you work with, you're going to have to help them get good at getting attention. Maybe you're going to focus just on active attention or passive attention. It depends on the business. We'll talk about how to determine that later as we get like further on in some of the trainings this week. But those are the two different types of attention. If that makes sense to you, right, give me a 1 in the chat. If you're still a little confused and you're going to have some questions for me, then put a 2 in the chat. I want to make sure that the stream is still working and that we have covered this fairly clearly before we move on. If we have a whole bunch of question marks, then maybe we'll pause and take questions now. But if you guys can see, like, okay, so we see some ones. Okay, for most of you guys, it makes pretty clear sense. Yeah, awesome. And again, this is the framework. Later, we're going to talk about how specifically to do these different types, how to get attention here better, and what elements lead to making something high attention grabbing versus not attention grabbing. We'll talk about how people evaluate stuff, how to figure out the target market. We're going to go into the how later. Right now, we're just really covering the what. Okay, cool. Plenty of 1s in the chat, which means that we've got this pretty much figured out. Awesome. Let's move to the second half of the equation because, again, the first part is get people to pay attention. And the rest of everything you do as a copywriter is to persuade them to buy your product or service. Everything that a business does online is to do one or both of these things, either get their attention or convince them to buy. Convincing someone to buy a product is actually a lot simpler than you might think. There's really only 3 things you've got to get right. You've got to get it to a point where your reader can answer these 3 questions affirmatively. They can say yes. We're going to go into each of these, show some examples of them. Everything that happens that a business does online, from the content they write, to the headlines they put together, to the way they structure their product page, everything, and we're going to talk about how to plan all that stuff out in a little bit. All of those elements should lead to helping the reader answer these questions positively. And these are the 3 questions. The first one is the value I'm going to get here, the thing, that the outcome, the desire that they're going to solve, the pain they're going to take away, is that value worth the cost I'm spending? So it's going to cost me a certain amount of money. It's going to cost me some time, some energy to perform these actions or use this product or pay for it. It's going to take me however long to get the results that I want. Is that worth the outcome that I'm going to get? Yes or no, right? You want them to say yes. The next thing is, do I believe this product or service will actually work? Like the system or the thing they're selling me, do I believe that it will actually produce the outcome that I want? Yes or no? For example, if someone tried to sell you on a weight loss system where all you had to do was a handstand every day for 30 minutes a day and it would make you lose weight, and they had no scientific proof to back it up or case studies or anything like that, you would not believe that that product would work. Doesn't matter if the product costs $1, you probably wouldn't buy it because it sounds retarded, right? Like some weird vegan idea, right? You don't believe it's going to work, so you wouldn't buy. And then the final thing that you have to get them to answer correctly or affirmatively is, do I trust the person or company selling me this product? You can really want the outcome. You can believe that the idea makes sense, but if you believe that the person that's selling to you is stupid, incompetent, or a liar or a scammer, you will not buy, right? For you to decide to purchase a product, you have to answer all 3 of these things correctly. And something that's interesting as we go through this process and you guys start studying and learning about what makes people buy, I want you to start paying attention to what makes you buy. I want you to think about the different products you've purchased and the things that you've done as a consumer and realize how those businesses convinced you to do all 3 of these things. We're going to talk about that when we get to the mission here in a little bit. But you want to look at marketing from both perspectives. What works on you and what can you use to help your company, the companies you partner with, get more of the market. But these are the 3 things you've got to get right. If you get 2 of them right, but you're missing one, they won't buy. If you get one of them, you get one of them right, and if you have to get all 3, if you skip any of these, you're gonna have a problem. You have to get 1, 2, and 3. I like to think of these as like levels. And this is a diagram. This is part of the Tao of Marketing diagram. We're going to go into this in great depth. I'm going to show you how to use all of these different little points and ways to move these levels. But I like to think of whether or not someone is going to buy as sort of this diagram right here. There are levels. There's sort of like a level you have to hit. And there are different things you can do as a marketer to increase their feelings of desire or increase their belief in the product or increase their trust in you. And you have to get these levels up to the threshold, all three of them, boom, 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 before they want to buy. So I'll show you guys. I'm going to give you guys a PDF of this big training at the end so you guys can all access this. But this is how I like to think about it. As a marketer, everything you do, everything that happens after they click this ad, for example, is going to be designed to get all three of these levels maxed out to where the person will say, yes, I will purchase. Let's go through a couple examples. I'm gonna show you guys how to do these things. Again, if you look, there's a bunch of different little things I've mentioned here, little different plays you can use to increase the trust or increase the desire. We'll talk about how to do those as we get further into the trainings. Probably next week, we'll get into the real details. I'll show you specific moves and stuff like that. But for now, just realize for you to help a business get people to want to buy, you got to get really good at amplifying their pain and desire, amplifying their belief in the idea that you're presenting to them, and amplifying the trust they have in you as a person, as a company. This applies to all forms of human persuasion. This applies to you helping these businesses sell to their customers. This applies to you selling your ideas and your services to the businesses you're going to be partnering with. This applies to you selling ideas to yourself. You have to get all three of these things dialed in. If you get all three of these things dialed in, they will buy. Let's look at a couple examples. The first one here, we're going to look at an example for increasing the desire. That would be like amplifying this. Now, this ad does a lot of different things. This is a magazine ad, getting attention and convincing people to buy a Rolex. And it's a slightly different type of ad since this is luxury marketing and a magazine type ad. So we're not going to analyze it too in depth, but there are a bunch of things happening on this page right here that you guys can see. I'm going to move oh, that's the wrong thing. Let's see if I can move my face out of the way so you can see that Rolex a little bit better. This is a way that they are amplifying the desire that someone might have for a Rolex by combining by several different elements. The image here shows, hey, look, an important person addressing the crowd is wearing a Rolex. It says a Rolex will never change the world, but we leave that to the people who wear them, i.e., people who wear Rolexes are important. You want to be important. They're tapping into that desire that the person has, amplifying it by showing them examples and stacking on top of it. There are a bunch of things that are happening here, but they are definitely cranking the current feelings of desire that the reader has when it comes to buying a Rolex. Probably should have put my Rolex on before I did the call. But this is an example of amplifying it. Let's go back in here real quick to this. They are taking the reader who's just kind of flipping through the page, passive attention. They're catching their attention, and they're reminding them and increasing this desire right here. They're raising this level up, saying, hey, remember, you want to be important. You want to have nice things. You want to be a high status man. By the way, you should get a Rolex, right? They are amplifying the desire. You can see a bunch of different elements here, a bunch of different things, and we're going to break down a million examples as we go through the program, but they are amplifying their desire. Because again, right now, just going through the page, if someone just like showed up and was like, hey, do you want to buy a Rolex? They'd be like, yeah, kind of, maybe their desire would be low, but the image and the ad and the copy and the words makes that the current desire goes up and amplifies their desire to where they're like, yeah, I really do want a Rolex. Yeah, I really do want to be someone who changes the world. So that's an example of increasing the desire. And we'll look at a bunch. Next, let's take a look at an example of increasing the belief in an idea. And apologies for the formatting here. It's a little strange. But this little section right here is a screenshot from a product page selling, I can't remember, some type of anti-aging cream or something like that. But this is there's a couple different tactics at play here that are examples of boosting the belief in the product that's being offered. Like, hey, this product will work on a logical basis. So they say it's backed up by scientific discovery. You know, down here they say medical researchers have recently demonstrated. They're taking and saying, hey, science has stamped its approval on this idea. It works. Smart scientists have said it's good. That increases the belief that this is going to work, you know, because you say, hey, this smart authority figure says that this idea works. So that increases the certainty or the belief that they have that this product will provide the anti-aging outcome that they want. And then there are a few other elements they do here. And I'm just going to show you these specific examples so you kind of understand how businesses achieve these different outcomes when they're trying to convince people to buy. This is an example of it. So if you look over here, if you read the actual text, they say cell turnover is the continuous process of shedding dead skin cells and subsequently replacing them with younger cells. The essential process makes our skin look shinier and tighter and gets rid of the gets rid of the fine lines and wrinkles more quickly. Medical researchers have recently demonstrated that cellular turnover is controlled by the gut, its microbiome, and nutrient absorption. Simply put, when your gut starts aging, the digestion and nutrient absorption slow down. As a consequence, the cellular turnover slows down and your skin starts aging too. So they're explaining the process. They're going through, I'm going to move my face back over here real quick. Oh, Mr. Producer, real fast. I'm not, there's only one Mr. Producer, and I am not him. There we go. So if you look really quickly, they are doing a couple of different things. They are saying, hey, look, scientists say this is a really smart idea and this is really smart. And they're also giving a very simple, basic, logical example that increases the belief. Then in their mind, they say to themselves, do I believe, let's even go back here. Do I believe this product will work? They say yes, because you have increased their desire with just a couple of lines and a little picture here of a scientist holding up a little petri dish, right? An example of increasing belief in an idea. Let's look at the last big one, which is how you increase the trust in the company or the people selling you something. This is a screenshot from a sales page for a like how to increase your vertical jump page that's been converting like bonkers for a long time. This is just one example of many different parts in the page where they do what I call a testimonial dump, where they have just video after video with testimonials after testimonials, just hundreds and hundreds of these dumped on a page showing people that have purchased this product and got the result that they wanted. So this does a bunch of different things, but one of the things that it does is it leverages what is called social proof. You sit there and you say, oh, wow, look, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have purchased this product and got what they wanted. Hundreds of people have trusted this company. I can trust them too. We are social creatures. We use a lot of mental shortcuts to decide whether or not to trust somebody. If we see a lot of other people trusting and liking somebody, we assume that there's something to trust and like about them, and we would just trust them naturally. So this is one example of how a copywriter sat there and said, how am I going to get them to trust me? How am I going to get them to trust this company? Because we're just some random company online. I know. Let's dump a ton of testimonials so they see all these other people who have trusted me so that this level will increase and they'll want to buy my product. So that's an example. Those are three different examples of how you increase these key levels. Let's go back over here. Yeah, these three key levels. Remember, everything you do as a copywriter is to help your business get people in their market to pay attention to that business and then convince them that they should buy your product over everybody else's. And you do that by mastering whatever form of attention best fits your market and by making sure that everything that happens in your copy and helps the reader answer these three questions. Everything about their social media profile, the ads that you run, help them answer these questions. There's a million techniques to raise these levels up to get all three of them maxed out across the board. We'll cover those in greater detail. Here are a few examples that I've shown you. These are different examples of things that you're going to do as a copywriter to help your businesses that you partner with convince more people to purchase. Those are really the two elements of being a good copywriter, Headphone Bag. Those are really the two elements. You have to get good at getting attention, and you have to get good at monetizing attention. Now, thankfully, there are good copywriter, Headphone Bag. Those are really the two elements. You have to get good at getting attention, and you have to get good at monetizing attention. Now, thankfully, there are some pretty tried and true methods to do that, and we're going to go into all of them in depth. We covered quite a few of them for convincing people to buy, but I'll show you guys how to put this all together. We've looked at little snapshots of pieces of people's marketing, a little screenshot of a page here, or this ad over there. In future trainings, we're going to talk about how to combine them all together, how to make entire experiences for the reader that grab their attention and take them through a process where they think and feel certain things that will increase their desire to buy, their belief, and eventually then convince them to get their credit card out and trust you and purchase. I'll show you how to decide what type of attention to go after, what type of funnel or experience you need to create for them, how to plan out the individual pieces, how to figure out if you look at a business, what part of their existing process is bad. We're going to go into all of that in great depth. But for now, I want you to just start paying attention to these two main objectives the business is trying to do and the basic way that you see people doing that. And as a result, or sort of because of that, I am going to give you all a mission today. This is part of your mission. This is actually a combined version of several different missions inside of the level 1 content. So many of you have already done this and can go ahead and do that. I want you to go and find examples out there in the wild. Go download social media. I know you probably deleted it because you're trying to be disciplined. Go out there and find examples of businesses that are doing these 5 things. I want you to find people, I want you to look at businesses that are getting active attention. So go to Google and search for something like chiropractors in Akron, Ohio, for example. Go search for something active and look at how businesses are trying to stand out there and see which one catches your attention. Take a screenshot of it, put it in this chat, and say why you think it was successful. Tag me in it. I'm going to go through and be reviewing this. In addition to the active attention, go find someone who's doing a good job with passive attention, like I did scrolling through Facebook. That can either be a paid ad or a piece of organic content that catches your eye, gets you to stop scrolling and pay attention. Take a screenshot, share it in here, and tell us why you think it got your attention. You're not going to know all the detailed answers, but if you ask yourself, why did I stop and pay attention to this? You'll figure out some of it. So do those two things to understand the attention. And then go take a look at different businesses online, maybe those same ones, the ones that you screenshotted with the attention. Go look and see what things they do to increase the desire that someone has when they're reading the ad or reading the product page, deciding to buy. What do they do to get them excited about achieving a goal or about amplify the frustration they feel about a problem in their life? Go try and find sentences or images or things that people are doing. You might not find all of these guys. Just go see what you can find. But find an example of them increasing desire. See if you can find places like I did here where they are going out and increasing the belief in the product idea. And then see if you can find a few examples of businesses increasing trust. Take screenshots, write down why, post them inside of the Business 101 chat, and tag me in them. This is going to become a normal and natural process for a lot of you. As you go through the world, you're going to start paying attention more to how businesses grab attention. You're going to pay attention to how they stand out against their competitors. You're going to start seeing little moves that they're doing to get you more excited about purchasing a product, or little moves they do to increase your trust in them. You're going to start noticing these little moves all around. Now, I'm going to teach you most of the powerful ones moving forward, but you should get in the habit of constantly hunting, constantly searching for these different examples out in the wild, and you'll find things that people are doing well. You'll also see mistakes that people are making. You'll see them try and increase desire and it blow up in their face, or they're going to go about it incorrectly. You're going to spot people both doing this great and doing this incorrectly. But guys, this mission should take you maybe 30 minutes max, or less, probably 15 if you're fast. scroll through social media, do go up with quick Google searches, go review some of the purchases you've recently made, and look and see if you can find the little lines, the little moves that they use to get your attention or increase your desire or trust or belief, and then share them inside the Business 101 chat. Tag me in them and explain why you think that little thing that you saw worked. You're going to get good at doing this moving forward. We're going to do a slightly more in-depth and specific version of this. I'm going to have you all look at a specific business after tomorrow's exercise when we look at the full-on what's called funnel, the full experience that you'll create for your end customers to go through so they want to buy. But for today, this is the mission. Now, let's go ahead. I'm going to I'm going to go ahead real quick. That's not what I want to do. Let's go ahead and go back to the main screen and let's go ahead and do Q&A. So I know a lot of you have questions. We just covered everything. Try and keep your questions around the concepts we talked about. If there was anything that was ambiguous that you have questions about, if you have examples of this you want to highlight already, go ahead and share them. But let's go ahead and hit Q&A. I want to make sure that these concepts are dialed in. A lot of them will make a little more sense when we go into more and more examples and I teach you specifically how to make each of these moves. But by now you should know the 2 different ways to get attention and the 3 different ways that you can convince someone to want to buy. And if you have questions about any of those things, go ahead and drop them in the chat and I will answer them. Some people are asking if the call is recorded. Yes, it's recorded. You guys will have access to this afterwards. But yeah, what other questions do you have? What questions about the content? Maybe you guys all figured it out. Maybe you guys all learned it perfectly. You will definitely have questions as you go out and try and do the work. When you do the work and you're trying to analyze it, you will have questions. You can tag me in it. Let's see what questions we have. Some guy said, "Hello, Andrew. I have a client that doesn't have the best business and it isn't really big in the niche of babysitting and caretaking. What do you think about it?" That is a terrible question, dude. That's a terribly asked question. I need you to ask better questions, bro. I'm kind of tempted. I see that you're an Agoge graduate. I'm kind of tempted to remove your role because that's not how Agoge graduates ask questions. Next question. Someone said, "Are adverts a must for the first client?" No. So sometimes you're going to get a client who's already really good at getting attention. They are ranked really highly on Google search, for example. They're the best barber in town. They're just trying to sell more of a new product or trying to get more people to click on that page to decide to book a haircutting appointment for them. In that case, you won't even focus on adverts. You'll just focus on changing things on their webpage to get people to get more excited about getting their haircut or have them believe that this guy is the best barber in the whole world, or convince them that like getting their haircuts, like you're gonna focus on those 3 levers and pulling those 3 levers to make people want to buy. You won't even have to do advertisement. You're gonna have to look at your businesses though and figure out what they need. Paid advertising, there's a lot of different ways to get in front of a business. You don't have to always do paid advertising. You can still get in front of high intent buyers with just organic work, and we'll talk about how to do that. There's a bunch of different ways to get in front of them. Really what you need to do is say, okay, where's my target market? Where are they hanging out, or where are they searching for answers? How are they searching for the solution here? How can I show up when they search, and how can I stand out when they search? We'll talk about some of the main methods, especially tomorrow when we start talking about funnels. But for now, just realize that you're going to be able to pick and choose where you help based on what that business particularly needs. Good question. So next question, someone said, when promoting the real world, is trust in the idea and trust in the company maxed out? I'm in the affiliate marketing campus and I don't know how to use this when I'm doing affiliate marketing. This is actually a cool example for you. Yeah, so trust is not maxed out for most people. Most people, when they're looking at a program like this, they've seen a million buy this to get rich thing. They have they may or may not trust the idea of joining a group and doing copywriting or whatever, the mechanism, the solution, like here's the path to go make money. They might not believe that path makes sense to them. It might just be too ambiguous. They might not understand it enough to where they're just like, yeah, I don't see how this is going to make me money. Like, how does buying this product make me money? You have to kind of show them how it works logically, or dump social proof, or re-dump social proof so they remember, oh yeah, lots of people have done it, so it must work, right? Trust in the company, trust in the person. That's still something you have to max out. And something to keep in mind. Let me pull up I think I might have super broken this. If we go back up to, I'm gonna drop the link here so I can make it a little easier for me so I can get it. Actually, I know how to do this. Stand by. Let's get this pulled up. I'm gonna pull up the diagram here and I'm gonna show you again. I did close out of my presentation, which was preemptive. let me get you guys real quickly into the diagram because I want to show you something important about this. This is a good point to bring up. Good question. I'm going to share my screen now just so I can show you where to find this. The Tao of Marketing. The heck? It like kept my beautiful. What is going on here? Let's change this. It's Mr. Producer some stuff, guys. Thanks for standing by, being cool with this. Let's see here. Man, I have messed this up. Here we go. Boom. Mr. Producer. All right. So if you guys come into the courses, that big diagram I showed you, or at least part of the diagram I showed you, let me show you where that's actually at. If you come in here to courses, you go to Toolkit and General Resources, you scroll down here, Tao of Marketing, and if you go to Will They Buy, it's the first one. I shared part of this diagram for you all. Let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys in a more detailed way so you can actually see it. If you zoom in on this, you'll notice that I say current belief, right? Or current feelings of desire. Someone might sort of latently, like they might have at one point thought that the real world was really smart, but when you start talking to them, they're not really thinking about how smart the idea is. They're not really thinking about how, in that moment, how much they super want to get rich and don't want to be broke. Their current levels, when they're just bebopping through the world, viewing some of your affiliate marketing content, when they first start, it's very low. You have to crank all three of these again and get them up to the point where they're ready to buy it. Basically, every time you talk to them. Now, naturally, if you're doing a bunch of content, you might really crank the social trust over here. You might really crank the desire over there. And then when it's time to buy, you might just say, listen, this is why it's definitely going to work. Here's how the program works. This is like, here's 42 people that got it to work for them. Why don't you start today? You should have started 3 years ago. And you crank all three of them at the very end and get them to buy. You bring those levels back up past the threshold. And yeah, it changes. You have to get that the current level up. It's not just total abstract level up, but the current level up. Yeah, those of you who are in the affiliate marketing campus, this particular idea is extremely useful for you all, for sure. Let's go back to the chat. Let's answer the rest. Let's answer as many of these questions as we possibly can. If you have follow-up questions about that, Mr. Affiliate Marketer, please share them. Let's go back. Catch back up. Let's go. Okay, question. Research martial arts retreat programs, so it seems to be very competitive niche. All niches are competitive, bro. The economy is in a competitive place. All businesses are fighting against each other. How would you apply this into a market martial arts retreat program in a saturated market? Saturated markets are pretty normal. We're going to talk about this more in depth, especially next week when we start talking about how to actually plan out and write the copy that you're going to be doing. But this is exactly Mr. Butterfly effect. This is the same game you're going to play with every single one of your competitors. It seems like they're all saturated markets. There are a lot of businesses fighting over a market of people that want stuff. You're going to have to get attention better than everybody else. You're going to have to look at what they're doing, and you're going to have to show up in a different and superior way. We'll talk about how to do that later as we move on. When it comes to amplifying their desire, you need to get them more hyped about going to this martial arts retreat. They need to feel the outcome, the value they're going to get from this is way high. You got to be the best in the market at doing that. You need to make sure that you show that your system of martial arts retreat is the best in the entire planet. It's better than theirs. Theirs are all lame because of X, Y, and Z. Ours is better because we got some special secret sauce, blah, blah, blah. Here's how we do it. And you need to amplify trust in you. You need to make sure that you are a familiar person. You've been established. You use social proof. You prove that you're the best. You back up all those claims. And you show that you're not a scammer and that you're a nice, cool person that they like. We'll talk about how to move all those levers. If you go into the diagram, there's a bunch of little like words that point to the different levels that correspond to different moves you can use. I'll show you specifically how by the end of this week, I think day after tomorrow, maybe. Yeah, day after tomorrow, we might use this as a specific example, but I'll show you how to look at what all the competitors are doing, find what works, steal that, and then show you ways to improve beyond that. By the end of this week, guys, you're going to have the basics of what you need to start dominating markets. So we'll go through and help you figure that out. Yeah, Mr. Affiliate Marketing guy edited his message and he said something about market sophistication for the real world. We can talk about that. We can definitely talk about that. When we get into market sophistication, though, like that's a whole conversation. I don't want to go into the super details of everything now because
that's we're trying to build this foundation here and then stack on top of it. But yeah, we can talk about market sophistication levels. All right. Thanks, Andrew. How would you help a gym? Same exact thing. You got to get better getting attention and convince people to go purchase that gym, give them a reason to come in for the first time, whole bunch of stuff. Definitely, a website is definitely good for every business, right? Wrong, not necessary. We'll talk about the different experiences you need to create for different businesses at the different stages. A website is not necessarily the most crucial thing a business has to have to be good. If a business is terrible at getting attention, getting them some random website unless you do a few smart moves, is not really going to move the needle for them. You have to look at what a business really needs and focus on solving that. I know lots of businesses, for example, they run completely on TikTok. They're a TikTok shop. They get attention on TikTok. They have their products hosted on TikTok, and they have people buy on TikTok. They do not have a website. They just sell products on TikTok, and they make millions and millions of dollars. You could show up and be like, hey man, you need a website, but they don't. They just need to get more people to buy their stuff. So no, a website is not always good for every business. Anything in marketing where you show up and you're like, oh, it's always got to be this way. Anything beyond like getting attention and getting them to buy those three levels, anything beyond that, there is no always. There is no hard, fast rule in marketing. It's all about what can you do to get those objectives. If you can hit those objectives, get their attention, convince them to buy better than all the other people in your market, then nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how you do that, where you do that, whether you use pictures, this recorded, it doesn't matter. What the funnel looks like, it doesn't matter as long as it achieves those objectives. There is no hard, fast rule of thou shalt. That doesn't exist. Those three questions exist. The two forms of human attention exist, and human nature exists. Everything else is subjective and up for you to iterate on and change. Next question. This is more of a detailed question. Someone says, before market research, should I focus on winning product or winning audiences? Rolex, you showcase in the ad, the call a copywriter, leveraging identity and status gameplay to trigger their desire to get attention. In addition to that, an anti-aging ad, remixing opportunity and threat to grab attention. As you have said, we're social creatures who pay attention to opportunity and threat. Am I right? I'm not sure I exactly understand your question here, dude. I really don't. Before a market research, I focus on a winning product or a winning audiences. You need to figure out who you're talking to and what they want, and then you need to look at businesses that are selling actively to those people and are doing well selling to that market. Yeah, your question's a little ambiguous, and I don't think it's extremely related to what we're talking about now. When we talk about market research next week, I will show you exactly how to do all of that. Next question, Blake Chid said, you said scientific study makes people trust in a product more. Can those be faked? Yes, they can be faked. You shouldn't fake them though. Are those studies even real? Are they even for social proof if most are fake? So you can't there are businesses that fake testimonials, they fake studies. I never recommend you do that. Fake is a really quick way to lose the trust of people that you're talking to. And if you betray their trust, they will never buy. Again, that's that third level. If that gets betrayed, they're just not going to buy or use your product. So whenever you do introduce a study, and I believe they did, I don't remember double verifying on that particular example, but whenever you do claim a study, it's important to link to it. If you show it or you say, hey, a 2023 study out of the Harvard Medical School found that blah, 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 it's better to make it real and use real stuff. I don't ever recommend faking testimonials or faking scientific studies or faking anything. You can take the existing facts and present them in a nice, compelling way, but you don't need to fake stuff. Whenever you do bring forth proof to back up your claim, you want to make it as tangible and real as possible. You want to show, not just tell. So if you were, for example, in that case, hey, scientific study, you put a little asterisk up there, and then down the bottom you have a foot link, a link to the actual study, or you could do a screenshot of the actual like web page, like of the actual study itself, the results. You could have a screenshot of that. There's a lot of ways to make it tangible and real so people will believe it. Because yeah, just because you say scientists found this doesn't mean that many people will believe you. But if you say scientists have found this, here's a picture of it at work, and here's three other scientists that backed it up. Now they super believe it. You can make it tangible. Yeah, you have to be careful. Yeah, you're smart as a buyer if you only trust things you can actually like physically see or trust. But yeah, I never recommend you fake things. Yeah, someone just had an example there. I bought mouthwash the other day. And one of the main reasons I bought from that specific company was because they had 2,000 plus reviews. Yeah, social proof. I can trust this company. If 2,000 people bought this and they kind of liked it, that means that It's probably not going to be terrible and it will probably work. Yeah, good point. Someone asked questions about remaking the Tao marketing lessons and when we're going to post them. I'm going to go through everything live with you guys and post. I mean, I am reposting the replays of this so you guys can catch it, but I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to go through at least probably. I'm going to definitely do all of levels 1 and level 2 live with you guys. I'll probably take a pretty good chunk of level 3 and do that live as well. I'm going to go back and refilm everything. I've got new diagrams and new resources for everything that I will improve upon even after doing these live calls. But yeah, I don't have a firm date on my calendar for that. All right, let's keep going. Someone asked a very specific question. Andrew, I'm stuck at number 14 in the process map. What videos do I need to watch? Dude, go ask me this in the G-Work session or in the specific part of the program where you're at. That's not a question that's relevant to this call. I will answer your question. Just go ask me in a better place. Go ask me in the G-Work session chat, for example. Hello, Professor Andrew. Wanted to know that after completing level 2, landing first client, should I then complete the copywriting bootcamp, i.e. level 3, then see for the growth opportunities in the client business, or should I first see the problems in my client's business and address them firstly? Or is there another method? So kindly guide me. Okay, so if you've have you so I don't know if you've already done this or not, but when you land your client, you don't really land a client unless you know what their problems are. At the end of level 1, there's a little video called the Ultimate Guide for Finding Growth Opportunities for a Business. After you watch that training, you should be able to spot what a business needs to do to improve. Okay, this business sucks at getting attention, and all the top players are using this method to get attention. I can take this tried and proven method and I can launch it for this business. I know what I need to do to help this business grow. You should be able to reach that point. So when you land your client in level 2, you should already know what you need to do. Then what you're going to do is you're going to watch the level 3 videos or the live calls that I'm going to do next week where I start breaking down the level 3 process. And you're going to start performing the winner's writing process and actually writing out and creating the copy and the funnels that your client needs. As you watch those level 3 videos, you're going to directly apply it to your copywriting work moving forward. You're going to iterate, you're going to get reviews on your copy, you're going to make sure that it's dialed in. I'm going to be helping everybody learn how to do that even better next week after most everybody has a client. And then you're going to continue to improve your craft with that job. I mean, as you're doing your level 2 outreach, sure, maybe you watch a couple of the level 3 videos, but at the end of the day, you're going to consume the level 3 content through the lens of I have this specific job I'm trying to do to help my business grow. And then you're going to watch the level 3 content so that you can actually create and write out the copy. But we'll talk about more about that next week. All right, Omar said, "Hi, Professor. How much should we practice writing copy every day, especially with AI? How do we get good at the process?" You do this by working on a client project, bro. I've said this a bunch. I need to make a dedicated video. In fact, let me go ahead real quick and add that to my daily or my checklist. Make video about practicing copy. Because you guys keep asking me this question. I keep answering it. Practicing copy just to practice copy is gay and pointless. It doesn't do anything. I recommend you practice primarily through I have this client, I'm helping them achieve this result, and you practice copy by actually doing a copy project and iterating and reviewing around that. Just practicing random copy just for the fun of it, it's not the best. It's better to have an actual specific company that you're going to do it with. The second best option is let's assume you've already got that starter client, you crushed it for them, they're happy, they can't open up any new locations, you've already made them too much money, and you have to go out and find a new client, brand new client. You've got this great testimonial when you're approaching other clients. When you sit down and look at that prospect, I recommend at least for one of them, at least once a day, you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to create a tiny piece of copy for them. I'm going to write a IG post caption that I'm then going to send to them as free spec work in conjunction with some of the outreach work that I do. I recommend you do that once a day once you've already moved beyond and somehow magically you find yourself without a client. That's something you can do. But you should just do the warm outreach process, go get yourself a client, bro, and then just practice copy on that actual client project so that the practice that you do will get you paid. And then if you're doing the outreach stuff after that, at least the practice that you're doing could get you paid. It could land you the job. It could translate to a bigger project. It's better than just sitting there and saying, "Ooh, I'm going to practice copywriting today just for fun. Ooh, I'm going to tinker around." No, dude, do something that's going to get you paid. Yeah. Yeah, someone asked about the gym again. We'll talk about that in more detail. You've already answered that question. Oh, we should get into a business which has a good product, right? Yeah. So I mentioned that at the very beginning. when you're connecting with people, I only recommend you work with businesses that have products that are actually good, that actually produce the outcome that the market wants. So if you have a business owner that is like, let's say, for example, because barbers are something you all understand. Let's say you're trying to work with a barber, but this guy has like he has only 1-star reviews. He is half blind and he mauls people's heads, cuts their ears, and leaves their hairline ragged. Don't work with him. Go find someone who actually can produce a good result. It's really hard to sell garbage. You can lie and cheat and steal your way to selling garbage, but I don't recommend it. It's besides just for like pure on moral reasons that like it's a bad thing to do. It's also way harder. It's better to take a good product that actually solves people's desires in a unique way and work with them. So yeah, I'm gonna show you how to find and work with good people. So let's keep going through these questions. I know we've got a lot of them. I'm gonna try and get to all of them. If I can't get all of them live, I will try and get to them after the call is over. A lot of you guys are asking specific questions about specific businesses, like, hey, we're gonna work on a gym or you're gonna launch a shoe store. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow, specific examples. For now, though, when you're doing your mission, go look for examples in that niche. So go look online. Like if you're trying to help a gym, for example, let's say that's the goal that you have. Go onto Google for the active attention thing and type in gym in Dallas, Texas, and look at the businesses that stand out in the search results and try and figure out why they stand out in the search results compared to everyone else. Which one of those search results do you pay attention to? Write that down. That's going to be useful for when you go to help a gym and you say, hey, I know how the top businesses are getting attention online, and you can show up and help them with those moves that you spot in the first thing. So all of you guys that have specific questions about specific businesses, try and analyze those specific types of businesses with a mission. And I'll post an image of everything in the slides for everybody. Sneaker store monetizing. Okay, here's a good question. Does monetizing the idea apply to products in the consuming niche, bars, restaurants? Yes. Yes, they still have to want to go to your bar. They still have to trust your bar. They have to know that that bar matches the vibe they're going toward for. They have to, yes. This match, when I said this applies to every single type of business or human transaction on the planet, I mean it. Now, how you do it is going to look a lot different. For example, if you're trying to position your bar as the cool nightlife bar in your town, you're not going to say, look, a scientific study has found that this bar, like, you're not going to do the same moves for every situation, but those 3 levels have to be checked off in every human's brain before they decide to make a purchase or walk in the door to a restaurant, for example. It's the exact same. Now, it just looks a little different in different niches. That's why you're going to have to go pay attention. I'm going to show you how to do some research to figure out what the best moves are in your industry. But those psychological check boxes have to be taken care of no matter what. Good question. Here's a good question. It's not related, but I like to answer this one. It's really easy. Good evening from South Africa. Thank you for going over this part of the process. How do I overcome my habit of worrying about things before I cross the bridge? Often I worry about things that appear in the lessons. My mind plays tricks on me when I cannot see the path ahead. Is it a matter of laziness? No, it's a matter of cowardice. You're being a pussy. Listen, you are never going to be ready, right? I'm going to tell you guys to go do things and you're not going to feel ready. Like this mission, you guys are probably thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do all of it. And this is just a tiny example. There's no amount of videos you can watch, or there's never going to be a moment where you feel ready and the fear goes away. Whenever you have to do something new, something different, something beyond your comfort zone, the thing that those things you have to do to actually progress and grow, those things that you have to stretch, you're going to feel fear. But you only really feel fear when you're procrastinating and you're not taking action. When you start taking action, the fear goes away. I don't know if maybe you've been a coward your whole life and you've never experienced this. But whenever there's something that's really scary, you're going to be afraid before it happens. But once you step your foot in the ring, once you jump off that cliff, once you actually start moving towards the target, guess what? The edge of the fear goes away, and now you're in action and reaction mode, and you are able to get it done. You figure out the way. Fear only exists when you're sitting around cowering like a pussy. You got to get up and start taking action. So, not necessarily related to the call, but I always like to tell people to stop being scared and start taking action. Someone asked, what can you use besides social proof to build trust? I know borrowing credibility from others. Yeah, dude, you're an Agoge student. You should go look back at the call where I talk about this and go look at all the different elements that I show you and go look at the examples in your industry and see how they're doing it. There's a lot of things that you can do. Yeah, if you were a blue student, if you're a student who's brand new into the campus, maybe I'd take some time to answer this question. But you're an Agoge student. You've been in this campus long enough. You know where to go to get answers. These young guys are going to trounce you, bro, if you don't really step up. Now, for everyone else that's listening to the call right now, you new guys that are listening to this, I'm going to go into a great detail every single move you can use to make trust as we get into the level 3 part of the live calls. But Mr. Farrow, one, you know where you can go to get answers for this, and I recommend you do so. Let's take a look. Some more questions here. Some people are spamming the same question. Spamming the same question doesn't mean you're going to get answered. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a long question and it's very product specific. I think I'm going to answer that one, and let me scroll down real quick. Make sure we don't have any really quick, easy questions. Someone real quick say, quick one. When do you think us beginners will get our first client project? You should skip ahead and start the process now. But on Friday, I'm going to take you guys through all of level 2. I'm going to show you how to go out and get your first client. And we're going to do a lot of it live on the call. So you guys should all have your first client probably by the end of this weekend. By Monday, you should. By Monday, you should all have your first potentially paying starter client. So you could probably get there sooner before this weekend if you skip ahead, which I recommend everybody does. But yeah, dude, we're going to get that really quickly for you all. Yeah, a bunch of repeated questions, repeating questions about retail stuff. We're going to get to specifics about specific businesses over the next 2 days. Someone said our restaurant business is good to make a client. No, I recommend you guys don't do restaurants. We'll talk about that in more detail. They're low margin though. If you're going to be working with local businesses, I recommend you pick businesses that actually have high margin. If they sell 30 extra dinners, that's not very much money for the restaurant. If you sell 30 new chiropractic clients, though, that's a lot of money for the business, and they'll pay you a lot of money. I want you guys to make money, and working with a restaurant is so much of it is out of your control. It's the vibe of the place, it's the quality of the food, it's the type of staff that they have there, it's the location. You don't really have a lot of impact over restaurants. I think we've hit most of the little questions. Someone asked, should we do the Tao of marketing portion after level 3 bootcamp or vice versa? I recommend you do it before, actually. You can go through and watch it before, and it helps quite a bit. I'm going to be covering most of those concepts again live here as we go through these live calls. So if you get to the point where you have a client project and you have questions about how to get attention and stuff like that, yeah, at that point, once you have a client project, go watch the Talent Marketing stuff. I'm gonna hit this affiliate marketing one, and then I might go back up to that big specific one and answer that. Let's see here. So one more affiliate marketing question, but connected to the topic. We're told to post general value content, not focus on specific pain or desire. Is that because every person in the market has one biggest desire of becoming the most one can be? Whether that's getting girls, making money, or desire to improve physically, all connected to self-actualization. Yeah. So your particular market has a version of an identity they're trying to become, and it's kind of all encompassing. It's multifaceted, rather, like you said, girls, relationships, money, mentality, physicality. There's a bunch of different things. And when you're posting that general value content that you're talking about, that's you teaching those guys how to get that outcome. What that actually does, it does a bunch of stuff. Real quick, I want to kind of show you how that's kind of a cheat code. And this is helpful for everybody else who's paying attention. In fact, let me pull it up. Let me pull up the level so I can show you what's going on. Let's pull this up again. Like the affiliate marketing stuff is actually a good example. It gives me a lot of opportunity to kind of cheat and tell you guys some fun stuff. Let me go ahead and share this again. All right, so if we zoom in here, let's go in, boom. All right, if we look at these three levels, whenever you post content, now we're going to connect this in a little more depth tomorrow when we talk about funnels and the social media funnel, for example, but that's what you're running. You're running a social media funnel. Whenever you post a piece of content, let's say someone's following you and they see your content where it's like Tate talking about the top 10 fitness tips to maximize testosterone, right? Whenever they view that content, you're going to be cranking their desire. You're going to be selling that identity of who they could become. You're going to be boosting their belief in the idea, like in the actual content yourself. You're going to tell them why those ideas work and why they make sense. You're going to have that, but also it kind of increases their certainty in you now become a credible source. Every time you teach them something that is accurate, they now think everything that he says is correct, right? So if you teach them something smart and then they use it, they think, oh, he is a credible source, and they're more likely to believe you. But it also increases the trust and the liking that they have for you, or the familiarity they have for you. So if you are now the source, like they go to you and they invest 15 seconds of their time to watch your little reel or clip or whatever, and they get back a bunch of cool value, that increases. It's like you have a relationship now, and they have you have deposited value in the relationship bank account, right? They now say, okay, I have given him some trust. I trusted him with 15 seconds of my time, and he has rewarded me. The more that they do that, the more content they consume from you, where they constantly get value, they are going to trust trust you more and more, and they're going to like you more and more because you have constantly been giving them good things. They're going to view you as a source of good things. They're going to like you and want to give back to you in some way. They might like, they might follow, they might click your link to buy the real world, right? Every time that you provide them a valuable piece of content, it increases their trust. So that when you turn around and the next piece of content is a, hey, here, go sign up for the real world, for example, their trust is already maxed out on you. They super trust you and they super believe the ideas that you're teaching because you've logically connected the dots for them. And they're super excited because you just amp them up with a high urgency, get in now before it's too late kind of deal. But the content that you produce is actually going to over time increase these residual levels. So then when you then post the CTA post, they're already ready to buy. So a little bit of extra game there for you guys who are doing affiliate marketing stuff. Because yeah, the moves are there, man. The moves are right there. It's all the same. All human persuasion is the same. If you understand these levels and how they work and the different levers you can pull to increase or decrease in these levels, the more successful you will be. All right. I think we've hit most of the relevant questions from for the training today, and I want to try and keep these relatively short. We're at a minute 4 minute or at an hour and 4 minutes now, which is a little longer than I would have liked. But you guys all have a mission to do. Let me go ahead and pull that back up again. Let me get that pulled up. I'm gonna just so you guys can see that one last time before we get started. You have a mission to do. I want you to try and get all of these different get examples of all of these different types of either attention getting or level manipulation. Let me go ahead and share that again. I want you guys to try and get all of these. But again, your mission, everyone who is watching this call and wants to get really good at these foundational things, which are, again, what will allow you to dominate any industry or any type of business that you type in, you show up with. Again, if you want to show up and make a business 10 million bucks so that they pay you $1 to $5 million, you're going to get really good at this stuff, these basic fundamentals. Here's your mission. Go find examples of businesses that get active attention. Go find examples of businesses that are getting passive attention. Find places where they're increasing the desire. Find places where they're increasing the belief in the idea. Find places where they're increasing trust. Screenshot them, share them in the Business 101 chat, tag me in them with your best explanation as to why you think those elements were effective at achieving those objectives. I'll clarify anything. If there's something that I see where you guys are completely off, I'll try and help you guys out there. Also, as you're going through this process and you have questions, go ask them in the Business 101 chat. So if you're going through and you're like, wait a second, I'm not exactly sure why this business would stand out from another. Can someone please help me? Either tag me, either myself, the captains, or a fellow student will try and help you. Go make sure you use the how to ask questions. Again, leverage the power of the real world. Doing this right here, you've kind of absorbed some of the ideas by listening to me talk and seeing some of the examples. If you want to ingrain these to where they become reflexive skills, so they are part of who you are, so you can always show up and you can actually achieve these results, you have to do this. Learning copywriting is about watching me talk about stuff and then saying, oh, I know copywriting. That'd be like watching UFC fights and be like, oh, I know how to fight. You don't know how to fight until you get in there and you train and you practice and you lose and you learn from your mistakes and you get coaching. You have to do things. So this is the part in the program where you have to get up off your butt and do things. So here's your mission. I'm going to share the slides for you guys all afterwards and the replay so you guys can rewatch this. But I expect to see you guys tag me in the Business 101 chat. I'll answer as many of the questions I can today from you all as you do this process, but it's time to get to work. Tomorrow, I'll be showing you how to combine all of these different objectives into one big giant experience, how to find the best experiences that exist online, how to duplicate them and improve upon them. But until then, let's go out, let's get it, let's conquer.